If the serve is very spinny, you can use a side push, but this technique is more for handling half-spin or no-spin balls. Today, we'll cover how to proactively change direction to your opponent's forehand when they serve to your backhand in a match. Second, we'll learn how to play a wider angle from your forehand to the opponent's forehand side. The push stroke is used very frequently in matches. Your problem is that you're not brushing the ball enough when you push. For instance, when you receive a topspin ball, it pops up as soon as you make contact. You need to use friction to push the ball low. A quick, sharp brush can change the ball's trajectory. You often make errors on serve-receive because the opponent imparts spin, and you fail to counteract it with your own friction, so you get caught by their spin. But as long as you create friction, you can push a topspin ball low even with a relatively open racket face. I'm not using a vertical racket angle, I'm pushing through it with a flatter angle. Whether it's sidespin topspin or sidespin backspin, as long as you apply friction, you can keep the ball low. Your issue right now isn't changing direction. It's that your push technique against a spinning ball causes it to go high or into the net because you're not gripping it properly with friction. The first reason you can't push low is that you're not contacting the ball with the lower half of your racket. Your contact point is too high. No matter how high the incoming ball is, always use the lower half of your racket to meet it. The second reason is that you lack sufficient snap at the moment of brushing the ball. You need to find the ball first, use a distinct snap to bite the ball, and then use your forearm to send it forward. Connect these two motions, and the ball will be sent on its way. First snap, then push, then connect the two into one smooth motion. If your push lacks friction, practice this way. Have a partner feed you slow topspin balls and focus on feeling that brushing sensation. Although your return might be high now, once you master this, receiving other balls will feel easy. Don't chop down on the ball, you need to brush it. Hacking down at it will make the ball pop up. The ball goes high because you don't have enough snap. You must use friction to cancel the spin, not just rely on an open or closed racket angle. This is a more advanced technique. Whether the incoming ball has spin or not, as long as you apply friction, you can get it on the table. Don't think about chopping the ball down, imagine brushing it down. A defensive chop relies on friction to bring the ball down. If you just hack at it, the ball will fly high. A loop has much more spin than a serve, but it can still be chopped back, so don't be afraid of the incoming spin. Amateur players struggle with friction, one reason being the contact point is too high on the racket face, causing the ball to leave the blade too quickly. The second reason is the lack of that distinct snap to bite the ball. You should bite it first with a quick snap, then send it forward. Without that initial snap to grip the ball will fly erratically off your racket according to its incoming spin. By using friction, you can cancel the incoming spin, turning it into a flat ball with very little rotation. After that, you'll be able to control the ball's direction at will. The same principle applies to looping. If your loops always go into the net or you can't grip the ball, it's because you're missing that initial brush to lift the backspin. Forcing it won't work. To change direction down the line, your racket face must first point to the left, and you need to raise your shoulder and elbow to create a stable frame. If your racket angle is straight, the opponent can easily loop your push. But when your shoulder and elbow are raised, the pushed ball will have a curve, making it difficult for the opponent to attack. Second point, you must contact the ball on the rise. Don't rely purely on your own power to push, as that leads to errors. By using the pace of the rising ball and adding some downward force, your return will be fast, sharp, and very awkward. During this motion, keep your body and wrist still. Any extra movement will cause the ball to fly off. So, the key points are, racket angle to the left, elbow and arm raised, and you must contact the ball on the rise to borrow its pace. After making contact on the rise, apply force forward and downward. The returned ball will feel awkward to your opponent, and they'll struggle to time it. Because the ball is fast, the opponent may not have recovered after their serve. Furthermore, this ball curves away from them, making it very difficult to handle. It's like receiving a serve. A left side spin curves into your body and is easier to loop, but this ball is a right side spin that floats away. If they're a bit late, the ball is gone, and they'll likely hit the net. This technique of mine produces right side spin, similar to a backhand serve. The opponent will definitely find it hard to loop and might even miss the ball completely. All players must learn this shot. It's consistent, and using it once or twice a game can have a very surprising effect. There are two key points. First, racket face angled left with shoulder and elbow up. Second, contact the ball on the rise, keep the wrist still, and use the forearm to apply force forward and downward. Remember, do not move your wrist, only use the forearm. If you can change the direction to this angle, your opponent will have to move around the corner of the table to reach the ball, which is very difficult. If you can also control your racket angle to make the ball exit from the sideline, the effect will be even better. Treat every return with a server's mindset, always aim to create problems for your opponent. Similarly, you can use a sideswipe technique when pushing to the middle, because even a fast, conventional push is easy for your opponent to loop. A sideswiped ball curves off the bounce, and this deceptive spin disrupts your opponent's mindset while delaying their anticipation. Many players only use standard training strokes in matches. Their returns are too predictable, and they have too few variations. The goal of practicing this technique is to prevent your opponent from returning the ball. It might feel difficult when you first start practicing, but don't give up or revert to just bumping the ball back to get it on the table. Your goal is to make it impossible for your opponent to return the ball. If your racket face isn't vertical enough, the angle of your return will be limited. Next, let's talk about the forehand side. When your opponent serves short to your forehand, especially in doubles, it's usually for a tactical reason, so your return can't be conventional. Many people, upon receiving a short forehand ball, instinctively return it high, slow, and short, which is a perfect setup for the opponent's attack. There are 4 difficult-to-reach corners on a ping-pong table. If you can master returning to just one of them, the game becomes much easier. If you always push to the same spot, even if your opponent doesn't attack it early on, they'll be waiting for it on crucial points. It might seem like you're only down 2 points, but their strategy is already one step ahead of you. Therefore, your handling of the in-table short game in the first few shots must be extremely precise. You must first assert control with your technique. For amateur players, a quality short push is too difficult. The first option is a long, fast push to the opponent's backhand. Many players' ready positions after serving perfectly cover the spot you're pushing to, so your return placement must prevent them from making a comfortable forehand attack. If you can push to this wide angle, it will be very difficult for them to attack. The second option is a long push to the forehand. However, if you're only focused on getting it on the table and the ball has no spin, a tactical opponent in position will loop it for an outright winner. Compared to pushing with heavy spin, controlling placement is relatively easier, because a spinny push requires excellent touch and is prone to errors. So, returning to the middle is like giving away a free point. But if you can push it to the sideline, your opponent's forehand power will be reduced by at least half. When the opponent serves short to your forehand and you want to push to the sideline, you can't have placement, spin, and speed all at once. You must prioritize one. The main goal is to use placement to make them late. In a match, you can push long to the backhand first. Then, when they serve to your forehand again, surprise them with a push to the short forehand corner. It'll be very hard for them to react with a powerful loop. Your opponents often seem strong because your returns, in placement, spin, and speed, are too comfortable for them, just like a coach feeding fixed-point drills. Even for a long ball, you can use this type of push with great effect. This technique works for short, half-long, and long balls. It's effective against backspin and no-spin balls. However, for long balls, looping is still the first choice. Use this push when you're not confident enough to loop. The main method is like executing a hook serve over the table. The entire force generation comes from retracting and extending the forearm, not from a linear wrist or arm movement. You brush the ball by contracting your forearm. The ball is brushed sideways, not sliced down, which creates a more pronounced curve. The key to the technique is the retraction and extension of the forearm. If your forearm is straight when you push, the ball is likely to go long. But by using this brushing motion, you can neutralize the incoming ball's forward momentum and spin. This technique is used very often in doubles matches. The racket angle for this technique must be relatively vertical. The racket face cannot be open. If it's too open, the ball is likely to pop up. No matter how much spin is on the ball, as long as you use this brushing method, it will clear the net and not go down. Hitting the net means you stopped your motion too early and didn't follow through. Also, you cannot take this ball on the rise, you must hit it at the peak of the bounce. You can make your racket face a bit more vertical. If it's too open, it's very risky against a no-spin serve. If the serve is very spinny, you can use a side push, but this technique is more for handling half-spin or no-spin balls. For example, when Miwa Haramoto receives a short forehand ball, she'll use a flick to attack the opponent's weak spot, focusing on placement over power. Even in Tomokazu Haramoto's match against Sora Matsushima, he won by moving his opponent front and back to drain his stamina, causing the quality of his returns to drop. Nowadays, moving the opponent front to back is crucial in matches, while players like Sora Matsushima often use whip and slap motions to hit wide angles. They use their body's center of gravity to hit wide angles, with a lot of front-to-back movement. While we may not be able to copy the pros' whip shots, we can learn from their tactical awareness. For instance, with a flick, if you simply place it in a standard location, the opponent might block it right back. But if you flick to a wide angle, the opponent has to move, making them more likely to make an error or not reach the ball. Just getting the ball on the table doesn't make it a good shot. A good shot is one the opponent can't return. My personal take on the Japanese team's improvement is their ability to find tricky placements even while defending. Previously, their defense was just about blocking hard. Now, when an opponent attacks, they can block it back with pace or change direction down the line. When receiving a forehand ball, they can counterloop to the middle. These are all new developments. While these interpretations may not be entirely accurate, we can absorb the good concepts and adapt them into techniques that amateur players can use, helping everyone play a smarter game.